Hi everyone, it's Tarona Hawkins, retired psychic medium. I've got a lot to get through today. First of all, let me just say to you, a lot of people with last week's psychometry seem to have known how to have done it and said they weren't going to watch it because they'd done it. A bit disappointed with that. Because, many people can bake brilliant cakes and they could all bake the same cake. But sometimes you just pick up a few other things from that. But there you go, that was sad. I didn't get an answer from anyone that had started it, which I would have been interested in, because that way there might have been something I could have done to help them a little bit more. But that said, that's over and done with. So the only thing I want to say on that was there was some good comments of people that did pick a lot of stuff up that had already done psychometry. And then there was, I think it was a gentleman who goes metal detecting, with the machine. And he turned around and he said it was a good idea that he'll have a go when he finds any other artifacts. So, that's brilliant thinking. So, yeah, so thanks for those that gave me their updates with things that they do with it. So, okay, so that's psychometry. Today, I'm going to talk about some of the remote viewing I've been doing. And before I start, I just want to mention, it got to be maybe 6 years ago that I was on Facebook then, I think, and I had this vision of all these wretched creatures coming up from out of the Hollywood Hills. And they were very, very demonic, like armies and armies of them. And I mentioned this, and boy, was I isolated, as if I was Satan himself for saying it, and all they were trying to do was warn people. Because I knew from seeing that, I knew that then more of these demonic things would be taking hold in the world, and they have. And not only have I seen them, as I've explained to you before, there's a lot of other people that have as well. And some very interesting, famous people, but I would not mention names. I don't do that. Why? Look at the world. All it seems to be about is greed and control. As if these people, billionaires, still not got enough. They want the earth totally for themselves. It's just, we're run by psychopaths. And that's a problem. And each one of us should have done more, taken more notice of maybe politics and the schemes and things at the back of it. Because this is a lying, scheming planet. And I also believe that a lot of these, you could call them aliens or demonic beings, the same, I would feel, have come here through portals more than through flying saucers. I think sometimes those flying saucers could be real with some, but I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't government stuff, to be honest with you. That's just my interpretation. I have, when I've remote viewed, seen cloning centres. And I've seen them in, oh my goodness, you would never imagine, like in mountains, isolated and all military stuff in there. And I've seen the big tubes that they're all being cloned in. And that's why, where a lot of this cloning of celebrities take place. But they're all over. And it's the same as with Epstein Island. Yes, there's lots more that's being hidden. And when it'll all come out, if it does all come out, is what we've heard is just the tip of the iceberg. But there is a big network of this. Just don't think it's Epstein. It isn't. There is lots of others that's still doing this and still involved. And as sad as it is to say that these people that's involved in this are just flesh-eating paedophiles, basically, and it's wicked, and they need to be sought out, and there needs to be some way of, in the brain, I'm sure there is, but I'm not medical, my family is, I'm not, but where there's something in the brain that can pick it up, or something that can be developed to stop these people, because it's very odd. And we know a lot of celebrities all sell the soul to, I don't know, earn a few bob, or to be famous, whatever fame is. So fickle, you're in fame 1 minute and you're out of it the next. Who in the right mind would want that? But obviously some people do. Another thing, many years ago, when I was doing a reading, I mentioned this to you before about John Lennon coming through when I've had a client in front of me, and what he said made sense to the client, much to my surprise. Also, I've had John Lennon come through other times, and he has told me that Paul McCartney is on the other side with him in the spirit realms. Now, all I could say to you, what I'm going to say now, allegedly, because I've no proof of this, but I just want to tell you my experience that I had with Paul McCartney. When the Beatles first came out, I was only very young. I don't know if about 11 or somewhere around there, 11, 12. And I loved them like all the teenage girls did. We thought they were fabulous, with their new hair and the new jackets and the singing. Everybody was mad on the Beatles. And I used to like Paul McCartney. I used to think it was absolutely fabulous. It was jovial, it was chatty, and it just seemed very, very genuine. Now, move that on a good few years later. I know, and I did hear the rumour that he'd been killed in a car crash. And then, much to all our joy, we was told, it was all right. And it was a little while, some weeks or months afterwards, before we really seen a lot of the Beatles in the media as much as they had been. And I remember the like hippie days, and I also remember watching that they'd gone, I think it was India, learning these mantras and whatever else it is that they learnt from one of the leaders of these religions. And when they came back, everything was different, because they'd got new hair and they were wearing these other way out things. And it would be very easy with people's memories, because people like to remember what they want to remember. But if you take a really close look at it, as I did, and I'll say allegedly, Paul McCartney was not the Paul McCartney that I liked. There was something I was picking up about his vibration, and I remember saying as a young woman, that's not Paul McCartney, that's not Paul McCartney. It, again, allegedly, had he been replaced? had they been sent to India to do that so that people could, not remember. It's easy if somebody looks similar to someone and you're mad on that person, that you'll say, yes, it was them, because they came back, they got beards and things, and he had a beard. And I never, ever felt the same. There was something missing. I'm not saying he wasn't a good musician, I'm just saying there was something missing. And, I never sort of really twigged at that time. I just knew there was something off, just for me. Now, other people must make their own assumptions on that, their own beliefs. And I know that it's been denied, but I'm still sticking with what I felt, how I felt towards Paul McCartney. Could be wrong, of course I could, but that's what I'm saying. Allegedly, I didn't feel it was the real Paul. Hollywood, music industry, they're all good at doing what it is they want to do with them. And since the Epstein files have come out, it's very easy to understand how these sort of things could be done. I mean, there's many in Hollywood that didn't commit suicide. They was murdered. So many. And over the years, but people tend to believe what they want to believe. I mean, the amount of hangings, it's like, was that the latest craze? I find a lot of that suspicious. There have been more of these stars cloned now than ever before, but from research I've done, I believe they've been working on cloning since the 1930s, 40s, and they would now be so advanced. Now, I know there are cloning centres because I have remote viewed, and I've been inside mountains and many other places, and that is what I have seen. Also, I watched last week, I don't know if it was a week before, another psychic, and I thought she was bang on. I liked her. And she said something about Elvis Presley that I experienced, and other things personally about Elvis that I knew about many years ago because of the remote viewing. And I was a massive Elvis fan, loved him, so handsome, still think he's lovely, I like his music. But she was bang on what she picked up, so great respect to that lady, who is Sloan Bella. One or two of you weeks ago or a month ago asked me to tune into her, and so I thought, well, when I get the chance I will do. And I love her direct approach, and I really feel she's genuine, and I couldn't agree more with what she came out and said with Elvis, allegedly, we should say again. And this leads us to, like psychometry, we pick up feelings with items, and we pick up feelings with people. People can be psychometrized. I'll tell you something that happened to me many years ago. I had hair extensions, and those hair extensions nearly killed me. I got so weak and so ill, and then I started having visitations of a woman who was wanting to take these extensions away. I rang up the hairdressers. I got the name. It wasn't their fault. I got the name of the supplier, and it was a real vile woman I think it was in London. And I asked where they came from. Had they come from dead bodies? And, yeah, so what? That kind of attitude, vile. And I remember that I'd got all my family with a pair of pliers, because they were sort of really connected in. You couldn't just pull them out in those days. And they had to get rid of all this hair. And it was not long after that I was diagnosed with a thyroid condition, which I never had before. And also, I was so anemic that was about ready for taking me into hospital at the time. And I remember the day I came back, I'd been, in those days, I'd do a little bit of like TV extra work and things, because there was a lot of shows that was going on in the not too far away from the area I was living into. So I did for a diversion, because with psychic work you have to have a break every so often. You cannot just act like a machine. Not true psychics can't, because you get so worn down, and you've got to clear all the energy away. And some people are negative, not through their fault, maybe through happenings, and you have to get rid of all of that. So you need some time out, as well as some time out to have a bit of a life yourself. And I did pick up from that, but I still have got that same problem. And I know that came from those hair extensions. No two ways about it. That came from them. So what I was actually doing, without realising, was psychometrising that hair. And obviously the woman wasn't well when she died. And, what I got, she was a bit of a fruitcake as well. And it was free of it. And I never... Any other extensions I used to have the false hair at the time when I was a lot younger. Knowing what I know now, I would never have had them. But I do feel I had to have that experience. And that's what it's been with me through a lot of things with my life. So that said, that was another experience. I know a lot of these demonic or alien, whichever way you want to call them, are coming in through portals, not through flying saucers. I think the flying saucers for our benefit, so it looks like it's aliens, I'm sure it's military stuff. I do also feel, because I have seen this in when I've been doing a remote viewing, I have seen crafts coming up from out of the sea. So there are bases for these, at the bottom of the oceans, perhaps very deep oceans. And also, I was getting in another remote viewing that they cannot breathe this air. And again, allegedly, is this why the sun's being blocked from us? Is this why they want to get rid of cows? There's something going off, because cows have been here for, I don't know, for centuries, maybe since the beginning of the world. Who knows? It's not just people that's been here since then. So it doesn't really make sense unless you look at it in another way. How many, I feel in time, maybe it's already done, maybe there's a facility, but because they keep blocking off the sun, we know we need the sun. We need the sun's vitamins. We also need to grow food. and if you've got no sun, you're going to be in trouble unless it's grown in big greenhouses. Well, the way it's going with the world, they talk that we're so overpopulated. No, we're not. There's lands on countries on Earth that's got a lot more room, and plus, like the Antarctic. And I once did a remote view down there where it's like a subtropical world. Absolutely. And you notice how they want to keep us away from all that sort of area too. And people that's involved in a lot of this sinister stuff, they will try and discredit you. They will stop you from getting on. They will do these things. And a lot of you ask me about teaching psychic stuff, which, like I say, I've done before. I actually did it in a college. And that's fine. But for the ones that really are going to go into this, that you've got to take care, and you've got to know what you're doing, because I'm not joking with you. These things exist. And these demonic things, there's so many now. I remember, I can go back, maybe 14 years ago, at least. And I noticed, at first I felt like a big surge of energy that was negative in certain places. That's what got me into, is it a ley line? Some may have been, but a lot wasn't. What I was picking up was the energy, the same as, it'd be interesting if any other psychic person's done this. When I was working, I used the motorway a lot, many times per week. And before putting my little car on there, I could feel the energy, and it was just anger, a lot of anger. And a lot of the anger comes because planners have known exactly what they're doing when they've disrupted ley lines, or what we call fairy lines. They've known what they was doing. And on these certain spots, there are lots of accidents in a particular important spot. You see, people don't know or take the interest of that. I can assure you, no matter who the psychic, if they are genuine, there are false ones, of course there are, because they've been put there by the same as the rest of the people that are involved in, like, Epstein crap, as I call it. And they've all had the books passed round and promoted from these shows, and they're nothing but scum. They've just made it all up. They are not spiritual beings, not of the light. All they're trying to do is, it's of dark. And if I'd got any of these people's books or tapes, I'd damn well burn it. That's what I'd do, because you're taking instructions from what I call Satanists, because they've been involved in really natural stuff. And it's always those sort of people that are elevated. Now, with YouTube, it's allowed X amount of psychics to do their own shows and things, which is good. But look into the background of a lot of them. And if you look into the background of a lot of them, you'll see a lot are military, from military families as well, like a lot of actors are from military families, and allegedly MK Ultra trained. And also I've seen and had people that used to come to me that were so incredibly talented, whether it was with the music, the singing, whatever. And they would have wanted to have been famous because they was only looking at it from the glamorous side, and it isn't glamorous. And they thought, oh, well, my voice is as good as theirs or better, I can make it. No, you can't, because people are selected in this demonic run world. They are selected by what families they come from. And they're selected maybe when they're born. You know, it could be they'll go to this school, they'll go to that, they're going to become this, they're going to become that. And for ones that really had only, you know, just average with things, what would happen to them, some of those would go out as singers. And you could say, well, what if they haven't got a singing voice? Well, it didn't matter, did it? Because it's a lot of the singers are not real singers. It's just voiceovers. It's other people that they're getting to sing for them. We've all been conned. You know, it's like one group I used to like was Boney M. And that guy that was in it, he couldn't sing a note. And I think there was a couple of the women as well that weren't so hot. I think there was just one or two that actually did have a voice. But they are selected. And they wouldn't have just been selected on the day. That would go back to many years prior when they'd be selected to do certain things. A lot don't realise that a lot of the pop stars work for either FBI, CIA, MI5 and MI whatever, because a lot have been chosen, and what a wonderful way of finding out other secrets. And this is why it's all coming out now. You take Andrew, the former prince, what he's been up to, and his wife, allegedly. And this isn't new. These people have all been brought up into this kind of environment. I mean, before I did one show, I'm not going to mention it, but I was threatened a couple of years ago by someone that was connected with Princess Diana, and it wasn't very nice. I mean, I'm now a 75-year-old retired psychic. Still be psychic. Retired's a hard word, but I mean, I don't do readings or anything like that for people. But of course, you're still psychic. Sometimes maybe even more so than when I was working. But nothing happens by accident. And the same as I could pick Cobain. That guy didn't blow his brains out. I know who was standing there with him. He was seen out the way. Just look into a lot. You know, I like to do a little bit of research on things that I pick up, and, you know, to sort of, not to back me up because I trust what I get, but just to see if there is anything there. But what you need to do is don't just look at their background, because a lot of that's all false, is find out what their parents were, what did they do, what was they involved with. And, you know, eventually, you know, the penny drops, you get it. And it used to make me so sad when I would have young kids, when I was doing the readings, and I'd, you know, do the reading and say, yeah, there's such and such. And they'd go, no, I don't want to go into that. I want to be famous. And I would say, famous for what? Do you sing? Do you? This is before I actually knew that a lot of these things was already arranged. You know, please don't think these shows that the poor little soul goes on there and, oh, and they win. because they don't. It's already planned out. It's like a lot of these reality shows. It's all scripted. It's just all deception. And that's why another part of this, for those that do want to enhance their psychic powers, you've got to be more aware. It's no good just sitting there and thinking, oh, I'll be psychic tomorrow. But it doesn't work like that. Number one, you do need to be born with something. Otherwise, you're going to just have to read tarot cards to the book, you know, what each card means, and do it that way. But then don't call yourself a psychic. You're not. You're a card reader. And, you know, people want these titles, and for whatever reason. But nothing just happens. It just doesn't. It definitely doesn't work that way. Sad to say. And if we'd have known all this in us early youth, maybe we could have gone in a different direction, but you wouldn't be allowed to go far because you would be stopped. And I'm not being negative. I'm being absolutely positive. And, you know, from what I've heard, a lot of Hollywood is studios packing up. Another thing that I find annoying, stupid. I would think the person's stupid, it says it. One example, I read an article the other day, something about Goldie Hawn. And she's 80, and a fella, he's 70, either 72, 74. Oh, there's that age gap. Oh, she's aging. For crying out loud, the woman is 80. If she doesn't deserve a few wrinkles and things at 80, I don't know who does. I think she looks very good for her age, actually. And she seems a very pleasant person. I've never met her, but she seems very pleasant, the same as a fella. He does as well. I could be wrong. They could be into other things, but just what I see, they look a nice couple. You know, and it's of course you're going to look older when you get to 80 because you're 80. It's just so crazy. You know, it's people's heads are screwed up. They're totally screwed up, and they believe all of this dribble when it's time that they started to look at things and be more observant, because any psychic has got to be observant. I mean, if you walk down your road, look at all the houses, you've perhaps done it for years, but there'll be something you've missed. Take a good look, start observing more, because that's what you need to do. It's harder now. I'm not saying that it isn't, because of a lot of this awful demonic stuff that's around, and you can feel it in the air. It's in the atmosphere. Things are not what they used to be, and it's not just from me at my age. I've heard very young people saying this. Atmosphere's awful. There seems to be so much negativity, and you've got to remember, you're just feeding the gremlins, because that's what I told you earlier on, that they cannot stand our atmosphere. It's poison to them, and they live off this loosh. They live off it and all the negativity. That's what they do. So before you want to be psychic or take it into more depths, study a little bit more. Study a little bit more, and also realise what it is that you're going into. Might sound fun at first, but it's not. It does have a lot of consequences, and that's important to tell you that. And I'm honest. I will tell you. Of course, it's not all good. Not at all. And no matter what you do, there'll always be someone that's there trying to pull you down. So you need to be pretty resilient. I mean, you're not going to please everybody, because it's totally impossible anyway. So mainly that's what I wanted to say today. Now, I will be back as and when I can. I'm trying to rest the voice now I've got this other medication. And I also, I didn't mention last week, my book. If anyone is interested, the money is going to good causes, as you'll see if you order it on Amazon. And it's Madame Driscoll and the MEPHISTOPHEILIANS. And a lot of you that's read it have said that you enjoyed it. And if I do get chance this year, next year, depending on how my health and that's going, I will try to get another one done. But there's no point in me doing them if there's not many people that's interested. You know, I'm better off sitting in the sun for the little bit that we do get anyway. Well, that's great. That's all I've got to say for today. I hope it's enlightened you a little bit, and as always, please put your thoughts up. I'm always wanting to hear them. So I'm going to say bye for now. Have a good week.